Blessed to share this interview Karen Ranzi at Super Healthy Raw did with me going into the diet and lifestyle changes we have made over the years as long-term raw vegans.
Hey everybody, this is Karen Ranzi at Super Healthy Raw, a raw vegan for 30 years since 1994. Super excited to be hosting another long-term raw vegan, Chris Kendall here.
And Tail.
On May 12th, we have the annual Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle. So I'm super excited to be talking about that today. And here's
Hey,
Chris.
Karen.
Hey,
How you
Chris.
doing?
Great to chat with you
You too.
again.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. And so we have many topics actually that we can talk about as long-term raw vegans. But I was just also announcing the wonderful annual Ultimate Raw
Of course.
Vegan Bundle.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Excited.
And just letting everybody know that this is like a no-brainer to get this bundle because it's just going to improve your life on so many levels.
Yeah.
Over 400 oil-free, relatively low-fat, raw vegan recipes that you can use on a daily basis, most of them well combined and easy on the digestion, and some really, really amazing creative recipes for you to try in your own kitchen, from top raw food chefs and authors and coaches and also yoga teacher doing a wonderful program, fitness programs, mindfulness. I've seen like everything related to good health in this bundle, and it's like over $850 worth of material that you get for $50, and you easily download it
Yeah.
all. It's very, very
Can
easy.
you
So don't be overwhelmed by
can
it.
you imagine this for you like 30 years ago, for me 20 years ago, how much of a difference it would have been to have this streamlined information with recipes that, all really go towards that simplicity and, it's definitely a good opportunity to help people get a running start and to have a lot more creativity in the kitchen for whatever they may be wanting to do or make or, celebrate.
Yeah. I mean, I could have only back in 1994
Mm,
when I went raw vegan and then transitioned my kids to a raw vegan lifestyle. I was really pretty isolated.
yeah.
I did meet Doug Graham a couple of years
Hmm.
later and actually went to visit him at his chiropractic office in
Yeah.
Florida. But I really didn't know anybody who was living this lifestyle, and I was doing it to heal from cystic acne, from over 25 years of cystic acne and IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and my son's asthma and chronic ear
Hmm.
infections. And this was the only thing that did it.
Yeah.
So, like anybody out there who has any chronic health issues, like just don't wait.
Yeah.
Spend $50 and turn your situation
Yeah.
around.
It's
That's what I
I
say.
absolutely agree, and it's beyond that too. It's just the whole community, So you get a insight into so many people who've been living this, whose lives have been transformed. And if you really resonate with somebody, a lot of us are coaches. A lot of us offer guidance, and it can go far beyond just the material that you get in the books and the courses.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And there is so much inspiration, not only in the recipes, but also in the teachings that are in each
Yeah.
book. Because it's not only the recipes, there's a lot of information about healing
Hmm.
and many powerful stories. A lot of these people came to a raw vegan lifestyle because of those turnarounds in their own
Yeah.
life.
100% for sure. I know it's such a beautiful and amazing thing that when people come into this lifestyle, it affects them so much that they can't help but want to share it, and that's what everyone here together is coming together with, is just that passion and that sense of purpose to spread this message that has helped them so much, and they've seen ripple effects out in their families and wanting to pass that on so others can see that in their own lives and then from their experience and from their lighthouse shine to other people around them. It's a beautiful thing. Let's make this world a brighter place.
Definitely, definitely. And like you said, it would have been so wonderful to have this a few
Yeah,
decades ago. So,
yeah,
so I'm glad. I'm glad that you're doing it every year. I think it's
I'm glad that
fantastic.
you're a part.
Now, you and I have, between the two of us, we have 50 years of
Yeah,
experience in raw vegan nutrition and lifestyle, and also working as coaches.
yeah,
Uh, so I wanted to ask you a few questions. Since you've been doing raw vegan lifestyle for so many years, it's not only the food, but it's also the lifestyle
yeah,
itself. And I think I told you on our last call that one of the things that was really harming my health was
yeah,
insomnia. Like I couldn't
yeah.
sleep. Um, how is your sleep with the way that you eat and your lifestyle? And do you do anything in particular to create good sleeping habits?
Yes, over the last 20 years, I've had some ups and downs with sleep, but usually I get enough sleep. More so, the thing that I've had a little bit of a hard time with is getting to bed earlier, because I'll be honest, I typically like the later hours more than the earlier hours, so it isn't super uncommon for me to stay up late, but then sleep in. I really definitely put sleep as a high priority. And if I end up to bed late, well, I'll sleep in. And I'm blessed that this is my career. I live and work online, so I can make my own hours. But I 100% definitely recognize and have experienced that I feel even higher levels of health, vitality, excitement, and just like feeling lighter and more bouncy when I do get those same amount of hours, but I get them a little bit earlier. It's just, like moving with the natural rhythms of the earth and the magnetism and, our own cycles and hormones and stuff like that. It really actually helps to be in bed for me before midnight. But I'll be honest, I mean, especially during the bundle. I've had some really late nights, but I'm still making sure to get enough sleep because I'm in Europe and most of America and Canada is asleep while I'm awake in the early afternoons. So, but I would say, yeah, I'd say overall good, but I can definitely still improve. And there's been periods of time where I've really honed that in and been to bed at like 9 or 10 and woke up at like 7 or 8 and felt amazing. But I still feel good, even though I am going to
Yeah.
bed a little later because I get that sleep.
Right, right. And I think that's the important thing is getting the number of
Yeah.
hours in. Um, and I totally agree that when I was writing all my books, I used to be up until like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning writing. That's when I got like inspiration. And I
Mm.
also tend to be more of a night
Yeah.
owl. But I do want to say that I agree with you when you're saying that going to bed before
Yeah.
12 midnight,
Yeah.
there's an obvious difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference. There's like some kind of energy
Mm.
that I don't have when I go to bed after 12.
Yeah.
So I've been aiming more for like 10, 11 o'clock latest.
Yeah.
I don't always make it, but
No.
that's my aim.
No.
I also wanted to ask you, like, as a long-term raw vegan, are there any supplements or herbs or anything
Mm.
like that that you have felt are important for you, especially over the long term of doing a raw vegan diet? Like we often hear that we must be taking
Mm.
B12. Like, is that something you feel that, even
Mm.
if we're tested and let's say we don't even fall in the
Yeah.
lower range, or if we don't fall in the deficient range, many people I see fall in like not average, but
Yeah.
slightly below and not
Yeah.
deficient. So, do you recommend taking B12 or any other supplements?
I recommend consciousness over concern around supplementation and our nutrient needs and understanding ballparks and also understanding symptomology and also getting tests occasionally. I don't throw diagnostics out like some people think that that's completely worthless. My first 10 years, I wasn't anti-supplement, but I had pride around not having any supplements and I didn't take any whatsoever for the first 10 years. But over four blood tests from six, I think 7, 8, and 10, my B12 went down to a point where it was clinically deficient, and I actually became symptomatic and had some pretty major issues with it. I wouldn't say major that were irreversible, but I definitely started having like noticeable issues with it. So I started supplementing, and I still do supplement. I definitely am not in the camp that I think that it's, bad or a failing of the diet and lifestyle to supplement B12 because it's a bacterial born byproduct and we would naturally be getting it if we weren't living in the hygienic or not hygienic, the more so the like hyper over clean environments that we do now. And, we're out in nature and, all that kind of stuff, not sanitizing and, chlorine in the water supply, all that kind of stuff, right? So I do still supplement B12. I recommend most people to get tested.
What about like some people talk about B complex, that the B's and even B12 are not taken in well or absorbed if they're not in the complex. Do you agree with that, or do you think it's okay just to
I
take
think
B12?
it's okay to take just B12 because I've seen my symptoms go away and I've seen my levels go up to normal ranges through blood tests after that by just taking I did a injection, two injections in the very beginning, and then since then I've just taken sublinguals and I've been fine ever since. So I mean, to me the proof is in the pudding. I definitely get all the other symphony of B vitamins in my bananas, which are basically like, banana B vitamins, but the symphony of nutrition and all the rest of the food, I'm getting all that. But I mean, for me, vitamin B12, it's a almost to me, it's a non-issue. It's like something I think is wise to be aware of, to get checked with. I think it's a mistake to think that we don't need it or that there's no chance of deficiency because I've seen it firsthand. And I've also seen other long-termers who, they had so much pride around it that they would not get checked and they became so deficient that they had neurological and nervous issues, nervous system issues that were irreversible. And
Or
yeah, so
irreversible? Yeah, that's one vitamin you just don't want to
yeah,
fool around with.
it
So
ain't no joke. So I mean, it's so cheap. Like I mean, I got a B12 supplement that was like I think $20, and there's more than a year's worth supply, and it's really stable. And there's different varieties of it you can get, but that's one that I don't mess around with. I continue to supplement, and I have no like feelings like, oh my God, it means my diet's less effective or anything like that. I think it's always important to note that anyone on any diet is supplementing because if they're eating processed foods or eating animal foods, well, both of those are supplemented. So,
right, that's right. Yeah, I agree fully. And I did get some lab work done about a year to year and a half ago. My B12 was not in the deficient range, but it was a little lower.
mhm,
And here I am. I mean, I forage as much as I
yeah,
can. I go to local organic farmers for my food. I sprout. I mean, I do all these things. And, you would think I would have really good B12.
mhm,
My blood work was amazing.
mhm,
It really made me very happy. Lots of really good results in
mhm,
my blood work. But that B12 was, it was notable to me. And if, even if you're eating all these local plants, sometimes there just isn't that B12 bacteria in the soil.
absolutely,
So,
yeah. Or we can,
when I even know a farmer who rotates his
mhm,
fields, which is even better, because you would think, well, if the land isn't used over and over
mhm,
and over again,
mhm,
there's more chance to have that B12 in the crop. So I was feeling pretty secure and comfortable because, like, 2 years before that, I had some lab work done and my B12 was
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
So as somebody who also has been doing this for a long time and has seen some other long-term raw vegans suddenly get into the deficiency
yeah,
symptoms, they can be irreversible if they've been going on for a long time without somebody realizing it. And I was starting to get some tingling
yeah.
in my hands
And that's
and in my
progressive.
feet.
That's actually
It's
progressive
like
too.
that's an initial
Yeah,
sign of that's
mhm,
happening. And so I do supplement with B12. My B12
yeah,
did go up when I checked it again.
yeah,
And I just want to say that my other scores, like the nutritionist who went over my lab work with
yeah.
me, she asked me what iron supplement and vitamin C supplement I was
Yeah,
taking. And I told her I wasn't taking anything. And she said, that's
yeah.
impossible. You have to be taking something. She said, these are the highest iron and vitamin C scores that I've ever seen
Wow,
in my years of looking at, because it was just through the roof, like amazing.
that's awesome.
Um, and I know that I get my iron from
Yeah,
leafy greens
yeah,
and, probably some from some
mhm,
fruits, like stone fruits.
mhm.
And even I eat a minimal amount of dried fruits still.
Fig's pretty high.
Uh, pretty high in iron, and my vitamin C. I mean, all the fruits and vegetables are so high in
They're
vitamin C. Uh,
perfect.
so
I've had the same
yeah,
experience too, like my doctors, as well as I had allergy tests. I've, like I've had major accidents, so I've had surgeons and PTs and all that, and all of them in all their respective fields have said like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because you're like on the higher echelon of what we've ever seen for healing and for blood work results. My doctor, like when I came in for the first round of blood work results, he's like, man, you really changed someone's mind. Like I thought I'd have to give you protein and iron and calcium and blah blah blah. He's like, your levels are perfect. Like he actually said, and I'm not even exaggerating, he said, these are the best results I've seen in my career, and it's yeah, it's that one thing was the B12. The only other thing, Karen, that I have supplemented before was vitamin D, living in Canada,
well,
especially
same.
yeah, especially the year I had only two winters though out of 20 have I supplemented vitamin D. One was because I didn't travel at all to the tropics and I didn't have a vitamin D lamp, so I did in the middle of winter. And the other time was when I got hit by a truck. It was, in July. And because of that, I was in the hospital for quite a while and inside and unable to really be outside. And then I didn't really travel. And plus, I mean, bone health and, regrowing my entire leg and stuff like that is like, you know what, I'm not going to mess around. I want to make sure that I'm really topped up with vitamin D so that I can heal as fast as humanly possible. So, I think this is a great and important thing to mention that, you know, while we are absolutely 100% champions of the food being the absolute mainstay, I mean, for myself, I'm not afraid of supplementation, but I at the same time don't think it's necessary for the absolute most part. But being aware of it and, having some diagnostic tools and, being open-minded and not so prideful that, oh my God, I'm failing if I take a supplement. I think that's a good thing for long-term health and longevity in this lifestyle.
I absolutely agree. I also am living in winter
Yeah,
climates for a big part of the year. I'm half the time on the East Coast of the United States in New Jersey, and the other half of the time out in Colorado,
yeah,
where they have a really long
yeah.
winter. So, you know, especially in Colorado, there's a lot of sunshine in the
Mhm.
wintertime. And you can be outside and getting sun, but in New Jersey, it can get very gray and dark, and you don't get much in terms of the sun. And even if you did, it's been written in some major studies that we don't get much vitamin D3 from like November through
Yeah,
April.
too much of an
So,
angle. It just goes through too much atmosphere, so you don't get the right rays to actually
yeah,
synthesize it in your body. Same
yeah,
with Canada. In Saskatchewan, it's actually really sunny in the winter, but I mean, it's not enough to actually be creating that B12 on your skin. So in the skin.
yeah, the D3.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I go to Costa Rica for like at least a
yeah.
month in winter now, uh, since my son moved down there. So I have that opportunity to go down there, and
It's the best.
I don't I don't use the D3 when I'm down there because I'm out every
Yeah,
day. I'm out every day. But when I'm back in Colorado or New Jersey, I am using a really good vitamin D3
mhm,
supplement, and there's some companies I've felt like I'm getting more than
mhm,
others, so I've kind of switched around. I use Global Healing right now,
mhm,
just like right on the tongue, super easy,
mhm.
and I don't like the tablets as
Yeah.
much. I feel like the sublingual, just right on the tongue, is much more easily
Mhm.
absorbed.
Yeah, I did
Um,
the same for most of the years I've been riding. I'd traveled during the winter, anywhere from 1 to 3 months, and sometimes 4 months to Costa Rica mostly, but also to Mexico and California and stuff like that. And due to that, I never really found a need because, vitamin D3 does stay in our system for months. We can, if we were really vitamin D deficient in the fall, we can make it, to the spring the next year, but we will become low, but going there in the middle of the winter, my levels they go a little down, a little bit up, but they've been pretty good. Whereas vitamin D2, which is the old form of supplementation, it only has like a week where it actually stays in the body, so you need to take it a lot more often. But nowadays too, I have a vitamin D lamp, so I prefer that over supplements just because you know, that's how we naturally get the vitamin D, is through that process of the UV on our skin. And we get other benefits from, you know, the actual light spectrums, even beyond just vitamin D itself, right? So now I just do that 3 minutes every other day, and it tops me off during the winter here, because here in Sweden too, not getting enough. And lately, I haven't been able to travel to the tropics, so that's been a
Yeah.
lifesaver as well.
Yeah. Chris, what's the name of that lamp?
It's called a Spurdy. It's a Spurdy vitamin
S
D lamp.
Perty.
I at the end. Sperti. Yeah.
Sperti.
It's a
Okay.
nice little one. It's like it's the most cost effective one that I've found. I mean, you can get ones that are thousands of dollars, but this one's like, I believe it was 350 or 400 when I bought it. So I mean, it's you know, it's more of an investment, but I saw it as just an investment in my overall health, and you know, I enjoy doing it. It has a timer, so you set it for 3 minutes, and when the 3 minutes is done, it has that bing, like a baking timer. I'm like, bing, I'm done. There we go.
So when you set it for 3 minutes,
Yeah.
are you fully clothed or you take
I usually
everything off?
set it behind me and do it on my back. You know, I don't want it right in my eyes. I do it, I have done it sometimes on my front, and sometimes I also do it in conjunction with red light therapy. Um, but the other way that I do it is I use it to actually charge my mushrooms, because I know you know that I love mushrooms. And when you expose mushrooms to concentrated UVB light, the vitamin D status, which again is vitamin D2, so it's not as long lasting, but it multiplies the vitamin D2 content of the mushrooms up to like 400 to 600%. So like even a small handful of mushrooms that are put under there can basically be a vitamin D vitamin as well, you know, supplement basically. So while it's not a supplement, it's a food that I just love eating. It just boosts that nutritional value. And then there's also a lot of other things like chromium and, you know, a lot of other cool stuff in mushrooms. I love them. You know, some people really don't like them, but I'm a huge fan.
You know what? Over the past years of being a raw vegan, I have not really emphasized mushrooms. It's like an occasional
Yeah,
thing. But for some reason, more recently, I'm feeling very attracted to them.
yeah,
I just made a dish with oyster
yeah,
mushrooms.
yeah,
Just really amazed by the texture and the
yeah.
taste and what you can do with it in the
Oh
kitchen.
wow, yeah,
Uh, and no, also did see that when I was researching vitamin D, that mushrooms came up frequently
yeah,
as a
absolutely.
good source. And what you're saying is that having the sunshine brings even
Yeah,
more into them,
yeah,
so that
huge.
they're like a natural way to get even more vitamin D in there. So you do it with your lamp,
Yeah, I do it with my
or you?
lamp, and this, when it's hot out in the summer, because it's a really, I've dove into this really intensely because I've been a fan, and I just found the science really really interesting. But during the summer months, when there's enough UV so that you get vitamin D yourself, you can also, you know, put the mushrooms out. Gill side up is the best. They produce more when you put them gill side up. And with the regular UV of the sun, you want to put them out there for at least 6 hours, and it can be even better to do longer. And the interesting thing about it, Karen, is it doesn't matter whether the mushrooms are fresh, whether you've already dehydrated them, whether you've sliced them, even if you've powdered them. It's amazing. Even if you dried and powdered the mushrooms and you put the powder in the sun, the vitamin D still multiplies. And it's cool too, because you know, you could put them out fresh and charge them, and then you could dehydrate them and put them in an airtight glass jar. And then all winter you could just, you know, throw like a handful in your smoothie, not maybe not smoothie, but in your sauce, you know, or throw a handful into your pasta and it'll rehydrate. And then it's kind of like an inexpensive natural vitamin D supplement, food-based supplement. Um, and another aspect of that that's kind of neat is shiitakes. They actually multiply the most, and they actually have been found to contain vitamin D3. Most of the other ones are vitamin D2, but shiitake actually has the vitamin D3, which has the much longer lasting effect of the vitamin D. It's kept, I believe, in the liver for like, I think it's 3+ months. So but it's pretty cool. I have a whole video and blog post called "Major Sources of Vitamin D for Vegans," and it goes really deep into that with links and all that kind of fun stuff.
Nice. Nice. So cool. Like, what are your favorite mushrooms?
You know, it's funny. My honest favorite one is just the classic brown, the cremini, or they're called baby bellas. You know, when they get bigger, they're
Okay.
portobellas. They're my
Oh,
personal favorite, and I eat them most of the time. I still also eat white button. I occasionally have oyster. I occasionally have shiitake. For me, it's not my favorite actually. A lot of people love the shiitake. I don't love it, but it's still tasty. I've had some actual wild ones out here, or chanterelles and stuff like that, but mushrooms, it's really important to know your mushrooms, and you don't want to just randomly pick out in nature. You know, you want to absolutely 100% know what you're doing and research it well. But the culinary mushrooms, the typical ones in the grocery store, you know, those are the ones that I most often have. I got some portobellos over here now. I'm going to be making some, I don't remember the name of the dish. Let's see, portobello bokai from Raw Chef Yin's course, Korean barbecue course. That's a part of the bundle, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. And right now, actually, I have some mushrooms that I've already dehydrated. They're just white button mushrooms, but I've dehydrated them, and I'm gonna put them inside of Lissa's harissa desert wrap, which is part of her Tales from the Tailgate, her and her husband Nate's book, and part of the bundle too. So I'm gonna be enjoying some mushrooms today and probably tomorrow too.
nice, nice. Have you ever tried lion's mane?
I haven't, although I have in a like a powder form before, but I've never had fresh, and I'm not super aware of what it's like fresh. I think I've seen pictures, but I haven't had it fresh myself. Yourself? Have you?
I have tasted it once, but I've never really done more than that.
Yeah,
Uh, there's a farmer's market where I am in Durango where there's like a guy who's like super into
yeah,
mushrooms and got a whole mushroom table. And he keeps saying that like lion's mane is like super
yeah,
nutritious,
yeah.
that he recommends lion's mane. It's like very, very anti-cancer and said it's got amazing potential. So yeah,
Natural
just
adaptogens, right? And there's so many different types of mushrooms with different properties and different nutritional qualities. And I mean, you know, going into that, like I eat mushrooms because I love them. And that's been the mainstay of what I do and what guides me is I try different things, I learn about different nutrients. But I focus on the foods that I absolutely love and I genuinely want to eat. It just so happens that they're also incredibly nutritious, and I think they complement a fruit and green, you know, veggie-based lifestyle incredibly well and are rich in certain nutrients that aren't quite as abundant and actually aren't abundant at all with like vitamin D, you know, and then I mentioned also the chromium and some other selenium, and you know, so they're really really nutritious. Um, but
yeah,
yeah, I just
yeah.
I
And
love.
it's thing that it's something that I've seen before where some raw vegan educators say, well, they're a fungus, we shouldn't be eating
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
So there are different views out
yeah,
there on them, but I feel like I don't know, they're so abundant, and I don't know. I feel like that many of us are drawn to them.
yeah.
And like I said, I wasn't really so interested in early on, but more recently, like even when I see this guy at the market and some of the things that he's done with mushrooms and talking about mushrooms, like they look interesting and they actually look tasty to
Absolutely.
me. So,
That's to me too. And I mean, while it's not a major reason why I eat them by any means, I think it's really interesting to note that they definitely 100% for sure have been a part of the human diet for as long as we can record back in history. And there have been even more recently findings where they look at like before Homo sapien, you know, like our ancestors looking at the contents of their digestive tracts because they find some samples in ice or otherwise looking at their what is it, the DNA and stuff like that, that they have found that mushrooms were a part of their diet even way back then. And some people even pose that we evolved in conjunction with mushrooms and with fruit, kind of going into that, you know, back to the Garden of Eden. What? No, it's not that. Left in the Dark by Tony Wright. You know, like that. You know, fruit has a symbiotic nature relationship with ourselves and our evolution and how our brain has changed over time,
oh,
and then mushrooms as
I love
well.
that book.
Beautiful,
Love that book.
beautiful. So I really I think a lot of times people get wrapped up in philosophy, you know, and they think that like, you know, from a philosophical stance, this is what makes the most sense. But I think it's good to consider philosophy, but at the same time look at the science and look at, you know, like larger findings and also try things out and see how you feel, you know, because that's what led me to eat some foods that some people they think that you shouldn't eat on a perfect raw food diet. But for me, it's been an incredible part of my diet that I think has helped with my robustness and great, great results. You know, being open to
Nice.
try and see what resonates with me.
Are there any other foods that you would say would fall into that category of things like, really with low fat raw vegan, like many of us are focusing, of course, on lots of fruit and leafy greens and vegetables, smaller amounts of nuts and seeds. And over the years, I have added a tremendous
Yeah.
amount of sprouts. On a regular basis, I'm eating sunflower greens, mung bean sprouts, broccoli
Hmm.
sprouts, clover
Hmm.
sprouts even. I mean, I do a variety, and have really felt that, especially over the years and especially as a woman, getting older, that sprouting is super important. I wrote that in my new book that's in the
Yeah.
bundle on raw vegan food for anti-aging and abundant energy, how important it is to get in some of these foods that are
Hmm.
germinated, that you can make right on your own counter.
Yeah.
Jar sprouting, a little bit more complicated doing it in trays
Yeah.
with dirt, and you need doing lighting and things like that. But the sprouting is one thing that I've added that I didn't learn in my earlier days of studying the low fat raw vegan lifestyle. So
Yeah.
that's something I brought in. Is there anything else, like other than mushrooms, that you've added?
Yeah, you know, it's funny with sprouts too, because before I went raw, I was huge. I was high raw, but I was huge into sprouts and like I was sprouting and fermenting a lot. I was doing all of that like 20 years ago, and I had sprouting trays and all this kind of fun stuff. And then when I really went full on raw vegan, I let all that go and I barely consumed any of that for over a decade. And I've had periods where I had some periods where I didn't, you know, and nowadays, I'm having a little bit more as well. Especially, I love lentil sprouts, and I like to make alfalfas and stuff. I find the lentils, the mungs, even chickpeas, and sometimes adzukis for me to be my favorite because they're a little bit more hardy and they're the easiest of the easy, especially the mungs and the lentils. Lentils are the easiest. Um, and my book in the bundle last year really went into that a lot, like using sprouts and freezing and thawing them to put in chilies and curries and different dishes. And I know Lissa has a whole bunch in her book, Tales from the Tailgate, and even makes sprouted chickpea hummus, and utilizes that a lot. So I agree. I think not only are they offering a little bit of a different nutritional profile, but they offer a different texture, a different flavor, a different sense of satisfaction, and also they're super cheap. And I mean, organic and clean and easy to do at home. So it's an easy, cheap way to get more fresh, really vital living
Yeah.
food in your body. So I think those are amazing. I've been
Yeah.
enjoying those.
I also want
Um,
to say that as we go through
mm,
the years as raw vegans, it seems like we want more and more
mhm.
variety.
Yeah.
I used to be happy with like a variety of fruit
Mhm.
and some simple
Mhm.
leafy greens, and some nuts and
Mhm.
seeds. But now I'm like really interested in bringing in even more variety. Like I did make a chickpea
Yeah.
dish and sprouted the chickpeas, and oh my goodness, it was so
It's tasty,
satisfying.
right? And have you tried the sprouting? Like what Lissa showed was soaking for 48 hours with the chickpeas. I normally just soak them for like 12 to 24, but she says soaking them for 48 hours, and then something that both of us do is freezing them after that. And when you thaw them, they soften. They taste like a cooked chickpea pretty much, and digest
Yes.
even easier. It's really fun. But it's funny for me. Like I find everything in cycles. Like I go through periods of time where I want a little bit more variety, and then I have periods of time where I really enjoy simplicity. Um, for myself, I typically do go for the simplicity in the short and then variety over the long term. But I love trying new things and I love enjoying what I enjoy, And some other stuff that I've added in, I mean, mushrooms I've been eating fairly consistently, I'd say for is probably been at least like 8+ years, something like that. You know, like it's been about that long that I've enjoyed them. And I'll be honest, there's some weeks where I eat them like 5 times a week and like a significant amount, like, 200 to 250 grams fresh. And then I prefer to dehydrate them for about an hour at 118. And I just love that texture. So that's one big one. One that I think maybe a little bit more often in the last maybe 6, 7 years is some form of seaweed. And I know some people really don't like that or whatever, or against it even. But my absolute favorites, like I love nori and I love dulse, and those are the two most common ones. Actually, and I've been more recently into Irish moss. But the big thing, just like I said with mushrooms, you want to know what you're identifying. With seaweeds, you want to not only know what type, but know the amount of iodine in it, and also make sure that you're not just going to like a random market and getting some random seaweed. You want to get from a source that gets it in pristine waters and routinely tests it for heavy metals and radiation. So I'm not an affiliate for this one company, but there's seaveg.com. That's where I usually get my dulse and my Irish moss. I love it. And then I am an affiliate for another company called rawnori.com, and they have certified organic, vegan, raw, kosher, and routinely tested nori sheets. And you can get 5% off with my code CHRIK5. But I get that all the time, and I only share it because I use it. I love it, and I think it has a big benefit for trace minerals as well as iodine, because
Yeah.
it's naturally occurring in there. And some people say you can't get enough because it's dried and the iodine dissipates, but tests show otherwise. So I really enjoy those. So that'd be the other one,
I want
mushrooms.
to say something about the drying
Yeah,
process because there's a raw food educator who talked about specifically the drying process and how you might as well not do seaweeds because the iodine's gone. If you're going for the iodine, you're not going to get it. But
yeah, it's
that's not
not true
true
at all. Yeah,
depending on the company, because there's a company that I've called Maine Coast Sea
yeah,
Veggies, and they do their testing after the drying
yeah. That's
process, not
seaveg.com
before.
actually. It's the same company. It's the same company. So they're good. They're really good. And
It's the same company as which one?
Maine Coast, that's their website is seaveg.com. That's where I get my
Oh,
dulse and my dulse and my Irish moss from. And
oh,
their black Irish moss,
okay.
I
Yeah.
get the flakes. It's amazing. I love it. And the raw nori, the other thing with that too is like people say that, but then you actually look at studies where people reverse iodine deficiencies using dried seaweed. So I take that with a big grain of salt, and I have seen the literature showing people reverse it, and so yeah. But again, I think I just really want to impress quality, and I think going to verified sources like that is really important. But that actually plays back to that's one nutrient I didn't mention, as long as there's iodine in the soil where mushrooms are grown, mushrooms are a good source of iodine as well, and
Wow.
so that's kind of
So
interesting.
we're going to encourage everybody to do
Yeah.
mushrooms.
But
But
I I really want to
yeah.
impress back on that thing, like I don't actually encourage eating food specifically for nutrition if you do not enjoy it and if your body doesn't resonate when eating it. If you are eating it and you feel like you're eating supplements and you're like, oh, I don't like it, and you're forcing it back because somebody like me or you said, well, it's got this nutrient in it. To me, that I do not agree with that whatsoever. I think our body is way more intelligent than our mind, and through eating the foods and trying things a couple times and trying them in a few different ways. If you really genuinely enjoy it, and there's something in there your body is going to be, utilizing. But if your body's like, no, I mean, maybe it's a sensitivity, or maybe it's just you just don't love that flavor. And there's other foods that you can figure that out with.
Yeah. So really eating consciously is very
Huge.
important. And yeah. And so I just want to say, like, I had a talk, like a 45-minute talk with a woman over at Maine Coast Sea
Yeah.
Vegetables because I was concerned. This is going back a few years. I was concerned after hearing this information about the drying
Yeah.
process. I was like, why am I going to buy all these sea veggies? I love the dulse
Yeah.
flakes. I love to pour them on. I pour them on everything,
Hmm.
on my salad, and it's great. And on the back, it's like just 1 teaspoon has over 100% of your daily iodine. So I don't really want to supplement with iodine. And if I can get my iodine needs met by using dulse, that's great.
Absolutely.
I don't use kelp because that's
Too
very,
high.
very
Yeah,
high,
you just need a
very high.
pinch.
You could actually get hyperthyroid
Absolutely.
uh,
Yeah, that's
by
important. And like I said, knowing
so
the iodine content of each sea vegetable is important, and knowing the suggested servings because you can overdo it. Absolutely. And like the nori sheets, typically 3 to 4 sheets a day, something like that is kind of the upper limit as well. But I just have them on occasion, and for me, I kind of change them out. So like sometimes I put like a tablespoon of Irish moss into a sauce, so it's like extra creamy and has that mineral base. Sometimes I put in some dulse. Sometimes I do have or sorry, yeah, I do have bills. So sometimes I'll just put a pinch, so I have a variety of them, but knowing how much is enough. And for me, it's not something that I'm like every day I must have this source, but it's like when I'm drawn to it, when I'm excited for it, I add it in. And I feel like that's kind of the same with all the whole foods too. Like I move towards the foods that I'm genuinely drawn to in that moment. I've had experiences like, going to farmers markets and walking by booths of some favorite fruits, but I'm not even looking at them. And then something else is just shining. It's like, that's what I want, like, so people talk about intuitive eating. And I think in the first few weeks, months, and years of a raw food diet, that can be really tough because you might intuitively think you want chimichangas and, beer. But after your body starts to really identify with the nutrition in certain foods and you gain some consistency longer term with raw foods, your intuition starts to perk up and you start to really be guided to the foods that are just resonating on some level with you, whether it's nutrition or water content or flavor or all of the above, but it's definitely something I've noticed long term that it's just like that's
yeah.
what I want.
Yeah, and I think that what you're saying is that after you're eating this way for a while, your taste buds
Huge.
change. Like you are then drawn to natural foods and you begin to understand your body's own
Yeah.
needs. And that's what really a lot of that attraction to certain foods
Yeah.
is. Whereas, like in the transition process, you're still craving those things that you ate that didn't serve
Yeah.
you. Whereas all of these foods are going to serve you on some level, but certainly the ones that you're attracted to most, that you enjoy the most, that you savor
Yeah.
when you eat, you're going to be chewing them and the saliva is going to be mixing with them and you're going to just be totally enjoying them. And the chances of you absorbing the nutrients is going to be higher.
Way higher. And it just makes the diet more fun and enjoyable and just more maintainable as well. It's like I don't know. I know a lot of people come from a place where they feel like they have to do this for a health reason or they should do it just to be healthier. They know and they may feel guilty about eating bad foods, and the big shift for me, and I've seen in so many other people, is when you really just come into like, what do I genuinely want to enjoy? Like, I get to choose this. This is amazing. This can really change my life, and when I stopped eating foods because of nutrition or stopped eating foods because I thought I should or I had to, and just ate again, like really what I'm attracted to, what I enjoy the most, it just opened the door and it made it way more fun, and my health really benefited from that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's really fantastic. That's great. Let's just talk a little bit about the bundle
Yep.
so that people who are listening or who listen afterwards uh, will understand all that they're getting here. So, Chris and Lissa at Raw Food Bromance, and Chris's tag is the Raw Advantage, which I love that
Yeah.
name. The Advantage. It definitely is an advantage. Uh, so they put together, how many years ago is it now? Is it like 4 years
I
ago?
think our first one was, yeah, just over 4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've been in all of
Yeah.
them and loved participating with this amazing community of raw vegan authors, chefs, coaches, teachers of different holistic modalities like even yoga and
Yeah.
fitness. You just get everything in this bundle for such low cost. You get it all sent to your email.
Yeah.
You can download it and you can use it whenever you
Yeah.
want it. That's the benefit. It's just really pretty amazing. And every year there's more and more new recipes. It's hard to believe that you can keep on having all these new recipes, but they're really, every year there's so many delicious new things to add. And just to like really light up your life, get you really interested in eating healthfully. Most of the recipes are super
Yeah.
uncomplicated. You can do them right in your own home. You don't have to go out to restaurants all the
Yeah.
time or find a raw vegan restaurant.
Can be hard and
And
expensive. I mean, almost any time I've been to a raw restaurant, I've spent more than $50 because I'll be honest, because I don't find them that often, I usually order two entrees, and I like to eat a lot. So it doesn't feel as good because it's usually really high fat and has salt and other stuff that I wouldn't like, often oil and things like that. But I've spent $120 once, me and a girlfriend going out to a raw restaurant, even more. And it's like, for $50, you could have better than that restaurant and way more variety available in your home for the rest of your life. It's like, to me, it's an absolute no-brainer. And like you said, it goes far beyond the recipes. It brings in hundreds of years of experience from raw foodists who have been walking this walk and learning and growing with it, sharing their wisdom, the things that have helped them, the things that they really enjoy, and that have helped them change their lives, right? So beyond just the recipes, there's the information and there's the fitness and information on being a parent and a mother and childbirth. And, there's just so much information that can absolutely help you transform your life. And also, it's like when you put a little bit of money, it's not a lot, but when you put a little money towards yourself, it gives you a little bit of extra kind of oomph. Okay, well, I'm going to apply this. I'm going to go through these. I'm going to learn. And, it's a self motivator. So I just think it's a really
yeah,
great opportunity. And I feel so blessed that you're a part and that so many people come together with Lissa and I to grow this family, right? Because that's what we're trying to do, is just grow this family.
it is really beautiful. And the people who are in the bundle really love the giving part about being so creative, putting this work together and offering so many new things. I mean, I've gone from offering things about raising healthy kids and healthy families to now, offering information about healthy long-term raw vegan
Yeah,
and
so
how
important.
to get the best out of it and the best energy with lots of simple recipes and making it
Yeah,
fun. And like I said, I've used some of the other programs in there. There are things that aren't connected to food that are related to movement and fitness and yoga and mindfulness. So you get an abundance of not only information but recipes and get to support this excellent community.
hmm
So we both are involved in it and we're excited about spreading the message. And Chris's profile is the Raw Advantage. Mine here on Instagram, even though I'm Feel Fabulous with Food in other locations, on Instagram, I'm Super Healthy
yeah,
Raw. So you can click on either of our bios, click on the link that's in our bio, and go right to clicking on the ultimate raw vegan bundle. You can check it out and see what you get. And it's like a no-brainer. It's only
yeah.
$50.
Mhm.
And I have some people who tell me that they want to get it every year because it just is such a
Yeah.
highlight for them.
And it is just
Of
once a year. That's important to note, and also to note that it's all completely brand new. So there's never any repeats in the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle. That's one
yeah,
thing that we really impress. And I think something that's kind of cool to note here too, Karen. Since we're talking about long-term raw vegan stuff, is we want to bring more people into this movement. We want to bring more people into just adding more fresh fruits and vegetables into their life, whether or not they're ever going to be a raw vegan or even a vegan. Just treating themselves better, bringing in more fresh fruits and vegetables, you know?
absolutely. So don't think that you need to be vegetarian or vegan or raw vegan. It's about adding more.
Absolutely.
It's about adding more fruits and vegetables and how to do it in the easiest, most fun ways. So
Absolutely.
that's really
One
awesome.
other
Let's
thing I'd like
see.
to mention too is, on the topic of long term, like while the recipes in the books, there's a wide range, right? Like there goes from really, really simple. We got Arnold Kaufman, who's, been a raw foodist for, I believe, around 30 years or more, right? And, he has his
Yes, and
book,
he has a wonderful raw vegan
yeah,
cafe
Arnold's
in
Way.
Pennsylvania.
Apologies.
Yeah.
And his book, this recipe book sucks. It's like as simple as it can get, going into mono meals and stuff like that. And then we have really expansive low fat raw gourmet, everything unified being oil free and low fat. And when we're talking about long termers, I think it's awesome and important to recognize and note that at different cycles with your part of your journey, you're going to be attracted to different things. And I've met some people who are like strict, super simple, and then for a period of time they want to experience the stuff that's a little bit more complex and different ingredients and different things, and then they do that and they're like, actually I want simple, and it can go back and forth. It's really a dance.
I raise my hand.
Yeah,
I have gone through those
me too.
periods, both of them.
And not being totally stuck in like this is how it has to be forever and that this is perfect. Like to me perfection is a bit of a dance and it can go either way, and all of these foods and all these recipes are here for your nourishment and for your enjoyment and for nostalgia and for different cycles in your journey. And I think in terms of being a healthy long-term raw vegan, it's important to have an open mind with that and not think this is the way it has to be, and if you're not doing it this way you're doing it bad. It's like all of this stuff has a place, and we just all hope that it can help people sustain, maintain, enjoy, and make this just more fun, more tasty, and easier for the long term. Because, like I said, you don't have to be raw vegan to be doing this. It's all about adding more. But if you want to, we want to give you the recipes, the tools, the tips, the inspiration, the support to do it long term in a healthy, abundant way.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, thank you. That's the great way to end this session, is to just really, really say that this bundle is so much more than just
Yes,
recipes. It's
huge.
just a whole way to live and to stay with eating
Yeah,
healthy and to feel happy, because it just gives you such joy. And you can do it in so many different ways, and you don't have to be so strict with yourself that like, okay, like I'm only going to eat
yeah,
fruit, you know. And I did go through a period where I only ate fruit.
yeah,
And I really, that period of my life really told me that I needed to add in a lot of leafy greens,
yeah,
and I missed my salad so much. So I don't know, your body really speaks to you, and I really believe that listening to yourself intuitively, which is a lot of what we've been talking about
yeah,
here, is going to bring you the satisfaction and also create the health,
yeah,
because in eating the foods that you enjoy, it takes away stress. You look really forward to it.
yeah.
There's so much joy in a healthy raw vegan
Absolutely.
lifestyle.
I don't know about you, but there have been few other meals besides raw vegan meals, and especially really top quality fruit that I just find myself dancing while I'm eating it. I'm just like, yeah,
Yes, and raw birthing with Nadine says bundle of love and kindness.
Listen to team.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really what it is. So, yeah, so thank you everybody who joined us here today. And please take a look at the bundle. I don't think you'll regret getting it.
No.
Everything is easily downloadable. And all you have to do is go to one of our links at Super Healthy Raw. That's mine, Super Healthy Raw, or the Raw Food Advantage.
Raw advantage.
The Raw
Yeah,
Advantage, sorry.
but go to Karen's link.
So, yes, thank you, Chris. Thank you so much. It's always great to connect with you.
You too.
Thank you for your wise words today.
Yours too. Thank you so much, and for the fun questions. This is a lot of fun. I really appreciate you, and I'm excited to share this out too.
Great. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. And thank you so much to everybody who joined us. I saw that there were some things people had written in. I didn't get to go to them because we were just so lively in our talk today. But if you have any questions, you can certainly contact us right here by DMing on Instagram. So we're there for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, everybody have a great day or a great evening wherever you are, and hoping to see you inside the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle.
Much love. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Be sure to check out the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle before it's gone, May 12th, 11:59 p.m. PST. We hope you love it.